My personal sort of internal preparation to play Superman was pretty simple, which was I just immediately latched on to this sense of he so loves getting to do what he does. And I think that shows up in every big screen iteration. There is just this love that Superman has of his ability to protect people and to save people.
How does someone prepare to play one of the most iconic characters of all time? Superman isn't just the most well-known comic book character ever, he's also a pop culture symbol who's been played by several people in various films, TV shows, commercials, cartoons, video games, you name it. He's a symbol for truth, hope, strength, justice, optimism, compassion, resilience, and everything great about humanity as a whole.
Superman is a character who's good.
Who is filled with hope. He saves people because it's the right thing to do.
You could probably go to any country around the world with a giant S symbol on your shirt and people would immediately know what it is. I mean, it's Superman.
Hey buddy, eyes up here.
There must be immense pressure behind bringing this character to life for the big screen yet again. On top of the fact that DC's restarting their cinematic universe with director James Gunn at the helm and pretty much building it around this role and the 2025 movie.
I had to fake some confidence doing that, walking onto this big soundstage. But you go through the fear of people looking at the suit and going, I don't know, or looking at your hair and going, and I just thought for this I should probably muster up some confidence, even if it was faux courage, and just try to be as Superman-y as I could.
This legacy now rests on the shoulders of David Corenswet. And I'd love to tell you about not only his preparation and his process for playing Superman, but I also want to take a brief dive into his early career and how his various characters and performances were already giving off Krypton vibes, like it was destined to happen. And as always, I want to give a special thanks to our patrons over on the Back Focus Patreon. Check it out if you'd like to help support this channel.
I'm not sure I really did want to play Superman. I never thought it was an achievable goal. I mean, even when I was auditioning for James's movie, I didn't really think that it was possible that I was going to be the person to get it.
David Corenswet is a strapping 6'4" actor who grew up loving Superman, reading the comic books. His parents showed him the 1978 Superman film at a young age. He was actually told throughout a good portion of his life that he could play Superman one day. And as it turns out, after hearing so many people tell him, you kinda look like Superman, maybe a little part of him kind of yearned to play that role because in a 2019 Entertainment Weekly interview, he said, quote, "My pie-in-the-sky ambition is definitely to play Superman. I would love to see somebody do an upbeat throwback take on Superman. I love the Henry Cavill dark and gritty take, but I would love to see the next one be very bright and optimistic." After learning classical acting training at Juilliard, David got plenty of work on television. Despite eventually playing the superhero that represents humanity's best, he would sometimes play humanity's worst, being the killer of the week in procedural crime dramas like Elementary.
Of the double homicide you committed.
I'd like my lawyer now, please.
And Instinct. You guys remember Instinct?
The movie's over, Spencer.
It's over when everyone sees the bad guy die.
Yeah, me too. He also did this little political thriller called Affairs of State, in which he played an aspiring politician, and unfortunately for him, I stole every scene as his college roommate turned journalist, Kevin.
Congress. Are you even a resident of any state? Where's the podunk town you come from?
It's not about where I'm from, it's where I'm going.
That should be your campaign slogan.
Seriously though, I did work with him. This was back in like 2018. He was an incredibly nice guy. I remember being jealous when he told me he played Seymour in a production of Little Shop of Horrors, because that's my dream role. I love how his dream role was Superman, and my dream role is a pathetic dweeb who gets convinced by a sentient plant to kill people. Feed me! I can also confirm what has been said about him, especially what James Gunn has said about him, is that he asks a lot of questions. Even for this low-budget thriller shot in Norfolk, Virginia, he was very serious and meticulous with his performance. Eventually, showrunner Ryan Murphy noticed him and cast him in his series The Politician as River Barkley. Just a good old American high school athlete whose romantic relationship with Ben Platt's character serves as an emotional arc for the series.
You're gonna change the world, Peyton.
How do you know?
Because I see you.
And hey, remember how I said people would just tell him all the time he looked like Superman? Well, in this show, Ben Platt says to him face to face,
Look like Superman, and...
But nothing, and I mean nothing, had more Superman Clark Kent vibes than David's performance in Ryan Murphy's miniseries, Hollywood, in which he played Jack Costello, an Aw-Shucks World War II veteran trying to break into the picture business.
A girl who lands in Tinseltown and hits the skids.
Hey, look at you. It's me.
The biggest smack.
I especially liked this moment where he's applying for a house loan with his wife.
But I don't see any income here.
No, presently not, but hey, I've got a casting tomorrow, and if they pick me, that's $10 in my pocket.
Something about that knee slap, man, he's just got that cadence down for the time period. Then in 2022, David got a part that would end up being pretty significant. In the period horror film Pearl, he played a charismatic projectionist and potential love interest to Pearl, an unhinged country gal with stars in her eyes.
Why are you leaving me? What did you say? Why did you change?
You're scaring me, Pearl.
His character ended up getting the axe. It was a pitchfork, actually. But it was this film that put him on James Gunn's radar, eventually getting him the audition for Superman.
I was at home on a ladder, like changing a light fixture, and I took the call, and they were like, well, David, we think you know what this call is about. And I was like, I really don't know what this is about. I'm on a ladder. Please talk faster. And my agent said, it's an audition. You know what's coming. I was like, Top Gun 3? What am I like definitely waiting for? I said, no, it's Superman. You're not special. There are a lot of people auditioning. Everybody's gonna self-tape. There are gonna be nobody's meeting with James ahead of time. Everybody's gonna put themselves on tape. And good luck, don't f it up.
Funny enough, one of the many other actors who also auditioned for the role was Nicholas Hoult, who would go on to be cast as Lex Luthor, which is easily the most Lex Luthor thing ever, because doesn't Lex Luthor just want to be Superman?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
David went on to do the screen test, as well as a couple scenes with Gunn. He met with the stunt crew, tested out flying on wires, and even tried on Henry Cavill's old Man of Steel costume.
In the same way that Henry got to put on Christopher Reeve's suit for his screen test, that's the moment when you're stepping into something iconic that you've seen up on the screen.
Those are some crazy big red boots to fill. I mean, that's another thing, is how do you play a character that has such a firm stamp on it?
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
You're gonna end up fighting every elected official in this country.
Sure you don't really mean that, Lois.
Christopher Reeve he's like the gold standard Superman, right? You know, the 1978 Richard Donner film pretty much laid the groundwork for all superhero movies in general.
What the hell's that?
Easy, miss. I've got you.
You've got me! Who's got you?
I'll be honest, it's one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. I just love the little things Reeve does with this role. You know, like I love the scene, everybody does, where he slowly shifts his posture and he just transforms from Clark Kent into Superman just with body language. Reeve really lived this role, or at least understood the importance behind it.
What does Superman represent to people?
A friend, and that's what people really need most. They don't need a strong arm, one-man vigilante force. They need a friend. We're living in an age when people are basically afraid of contact with each other. They're afraid. People live in cities, they don't even know their neighbors. They're afraid to go out in the street. Something might happen to them. Basically, technology's against you. Life is overwhelming. Even the bank doesn't know who you are. And it's like, we run around scared a lot. And America was founded on the virtues of a helping hand, of going 5 miles to lend your neighbor a donkey or whatever he needed. And I think that is that kind of virtue that's at the bottom. That's the heart of Superman. The genuine love of people, and that you always know he's your friend.
Okay, did Christopher Reeve, did he rotate the planet forward in time and then come back to give this interview? Because it's like that hits really close to home, even to this day.
Congrats! Let's go! That's our Superman, baby! That's our Superman, baby!
And just like that, while shooting Twisters, David got the call from James Gunn, which would pretty much change his life forever.
We had a nice, brief conversation. Things were moving kind of fast because, as he explained, a lot of information about the screen test was getting leaked out. So I said, how long do I have to keep this quiet? And he said, oh, everybody's going to know in about an hour. You have about an hour to tell some people, and then everybody's going to know. Yeah, I'm going to play Superman. And it's the kind of sentence that it's hard, you don't really know how to say it, because you don't quite believe it's true. It sounds ridiculous to say out loud. Even now it sounds ridiculous to say out loud.
So, preparation, right? Naturally, there's lots of physicality that comes with playing Superman.
The physical rigors of the flying stuff was hard. We shot almost all of the flying stuff for real. People don't know that. They think it's a digital double, but like even the shot when you see Superman that's been used in a lot of commercials when the fire's coming at him and he's going back and forth so fast, that's David on a track going back and forth, and then the camera's on a track going back and forth following him.
You know, all these news networks, E-News, Entertainment Tonight, they just love asking about the training regimens, diets. What'd you do? What'd you eat?
I did a very straightforward regimen of lifting heavy things and eating a lot of calories and sleeping as much as I could.
What was your diet?
It was nothing remarkable. I don't know, just a lot of protein.
I get it. Superman's big and strong, so he needs all the big meaty man muscles. But I feel like, sometimes people only focus on the physical appearance of Superman, and they forget about what's underneath all the pecs and biceps and triceps and trapezoids. I love this quick note that Gunn gave David after telling him he got the role.
He said, you're in good shape, but I want you to get a trainer. I want you to work on your shoulders and your vulnerability, which I thought was very funny.
The vulnerability of David's Superman is on full display in scenes with Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane. At the start of the film, there's just this amazing, it's like a 12-minute scene with Lois, who's just started dating Clark, knows his secret identity, and interviews him as Superman.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
And this is where David manages to pull off this wild balancing act, playing arguably three characters.
Almost like filming a romantic comedy from the 1940s.
It felt like doing theater.
It was sort of like doing a play.
It felt like we got to play together for 2 days.
Which was a lot of fun for both of us.
He jumps from Superman, like the public persona of Superman, to Clark Kent, the boyfriend, and then somewhere in the middle there is the passionate alien immigrant trying to always do what's right.
People were going to die!
During a 2025 interview for Entertainment Weekly, David explained how both he and Gunn had similar yet opposing thoughts for the character. Quote, I had the same ideas about Superman, that he's quite reserved and has ultimate control over his emotions and his reactions to things. I was very excited when James said all of that is true about Superman, but we get to meet him in this moment where those things are least true. But overall, there was one crucial element of Superman that David wisely tapped into. In this BBC Radio 1 interview, David responds to the usual criticisms that people have of Superman just being this perfect guy with a boring backstory.
I think he's a counterintuitively interesting and relatable character. I think he is a misunderstood character, not necessarily by the people who have worked on him, played him, drawn him, directed him, but by the public who maybe knows the idea of him. It's very easy to think of him as overpowered, invincible, sort of all the powers you could want, and to boot, not even any personal problems, really. He doesn't have a traumatic childhood. He doesn't have a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't bear his responsibility as a great burden,
These thoughts, I think, are probably what paved the way for Zack Snyder's interpretation in the recent DC films. It's as if the thought process was, let's do something fresh. Enough with the boring backstory and the goody two-shoes vibe. Let's make him scream and dark and let's have Pa Kent, die, telling him not to use his powers. And that's not to say Henry Cavill didn't do an excellent job. I genuinely loved his performance in Man of Steel. He had these moments where he really shined.
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
But the end result, I don't know. Superman, he didn't feel like a friend anymore. But hey, maybe some people just wanted to watch him punch things really hard and fight Batman.
Do you bleed?
I think what Snyder's version of Superman missed was exactly what David wanted to emphasize. The very thing that makes Superman relatable. His loneliness.
That loneliness, that feeling of being loved by humanity and loving humanity and being a part of them, walking among them.
Superman.
Sort of that feeling when you're at a big party, but you still somehow feel like you're desperately alone. And I think everybody has felt that at some point or will feel that at some point. In some ways, that's the ultimate human experience, is that feeling of isolation and alienation. So paradoxically, again, that's Superman's central struggle, and in some ways it's the thing that makes him the most human.
The result is just a complete 180. Like, we've gone from being sad about snapping Zod's neck to arguing with Crypto in the Fortress of Solitude.
What the hey, dude? I thought you destroyed the whole Superman robots. I thought I told you to keep an eye on him.
He's just so gosh darn golly wholesome. He said, what the hey, dude? Not hell, not H-E double hockey stick, not heck, just hey. I don't know, it was just refreshing to see Superman being Superman again.
They've always been wrong about me. I get scared, but that is being human. And that's my greatest strength.
But my favorite thing about the new Superman film is that this Superman is only a couple years into his hero career, right? He's still young, he makes mistakes, and he's trying to figure out how to carry this massive responsibility. And David Corenswet is kind of in the same position. He's got this incredible opportunity to play arguably one of the biggest roles in modern media. And I can't be the only one who's excited to see how he develops and grows with this character.
The reason I thought it was impossible that I'd ever get to play Superman was because it's impossible that anybody would get to play Superman. The odds that you're at the right age, at the right time, and the right director is taking on, it just is as good as impossible as anything is. So for me, it's just I just think of it as a great stroke of luck, and I better do everything I can to earn the responsibility.